Joining me now, she's the new head coach at UTA, of course, spending time as an assistant at Texas A&M, has been a coach at LSU, is of course a player and a coach at Kentucky. Speak of Kara Dill making her debut on In the Circle. Coach, how does that new title sound now? Head coach at UTA. Is that how much have you gotten used to that?
Yeah, I don't think I'm used to it. In the week and a half that I've had the title, I don't think it's something that I'm used to yet.
Well, take us through the process. How did you end up at UTA? What was it about UTA that drew you there as far as the whole process?
Sure. Well, I really have to credit Jo Evans. She's the one who initially reached out for me. Her and the SWA at UTA, Debbie Garcia, have a really great history and good relationship. And so when the job became available, Coach Evans reached out for me. And then I got to speak with Debbie. It was back in June. And I knew it was going to be a little bit of a longer process because UTA was going through some changes. So they just hired a new president this spring. They were in the process of hiring a new AD, a new baseball coach, and a new softball coach. So the process was a little bit longer than it typically takes, but it was good to get the AD in there so I could talk with him. And I really aligned with the people that I got to speak with in the administration. And then once John Fagg, the AD, got hired, it was just somewhere that I really wanted to be. I just wanted to work with those people. I wanted to be around them. I wanted to learn from them. You know, they were willing to take a chance on somebody that doesn't have head coaching experience and willing to guide me and help me and provide the resources. So there were just so many things about UTA that stood out to me. It's a great location. Texas talent is phenomenal. It's a good recruiting base for us. The area in the Metroplex area is a desirable location. There's a lot of growth in that area all the time. The resources that are provided by the UTA athletic department are phenomenal. The facilities are probably the best in the conference. I haven't been to every place. They're joining the WAC this year, moving out of the Sun Belt, going into the WAC. And I felt like it was an opportunity that we could be very competitive in the conference. You know, the goal is always to win the conference, get to regionals. And I feel like we have a great opportunity to do that, you know. And then I was lucky enough, you know, I got introduced to the team and got to talk to them, called each of them the next day. And it just really solidified that it was a good decision. Like, it's just a great group of young women. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want all the things that, you know, you want them to have as a coach. So yeah, it's been a week and a half and so far it's been great and everything that I expected. So yeah, it's a really exciting time.
Was being a head coach something you've wanted to do? Was that a goal, or is it just something that, hey, you know, just kind of came up and the more the thought about it, yeah, this is good for me? Take me through that process throughout your coaching career. Was a head coach the ultimate goal?
Yeah, it always was. It was something that I wanted. I felt like I wanted from the get-go. And I got the opportunity to learn from three great head coaches. And I think along the way, Coach Evans always knew that was ultimately my goal. So when she had seen this opportunity open, she knew it would be a great opportunity for me.
Oh, wait, pretty good. You and Coach Snyder, both head coaches now. I mean, that's a pretty wild how that played out. Both of you being head coaches there. I'm sure you two have had some exchanges there. Maybe some trash talk in there, maybe.
Oh, absolutely, because we actually played first weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's so wild that you get to play the opening weekend there. You know, that's wow. What was it about UTA that stood out? Was there a moment as you were going through this process, and you mentioned the facilities playing a role, but there was a moment there where you felt like this is perfect for me, right? Like, because I'm sure you've had other opportunities in the past, things like that with the success you've had, as we'll get into, but like, what was it that moment when you realized I really think this is perfect for me?
It's a great question. I don't know that there was one moment, but it was definitely an evolution of every time I learned something new or met a new person, it just continued to build of this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity. The people for sure. It's actually really cool. I spoke with Debbie, as I had mentioned, and then I got in contact with Angela Perry, who works in their compliance office, but she actually played softball at UTA and then coached there. And a team that she coached actually just went into the Hall of Honor this past year, but she had great insight into the team. So it was really cool to see an administration, everybody that I talked to within that they were very aligned with the direction they wanted the program to go. And they cared so much about the student athlete. So they care about winning and competing, and they care about their academics and setting them up for success post college, which really aligns with how I want to coach too. Hopefully the opportunities after college continue to grow for softball, but where we are right now, they're a little bit limited. So making sure that we have enough time to get the athletes community service hours and internship opportunities. And, UTA has one of the best nursing programs in the country. So if an athlete wants to go into nursing, then I got to figure it out. I got to build the schedule around that. And they were very aligned with that as well. So I don't know that there was one moment, but, then I got on campus and I saw the facilities, and it's different talking to a person than actually being around them and seeing how they interact with other people. And there were no surprises, they were just genuinely honest people, and people who care about the athletes. They care about their coaches. They want them to succeed. They're going to help them succeed. It just felt like such a supportive group of people to be going into work with.
What was it like when you interacted with the players? What was the message to them, as now you'll get the process of getting to know them and they get to know you?
Yeah, I think it was the team meeting was on Zoom, which, can be a little bit awkward in a big group of people. So it was more of a one way, just kind of me telling them a little bit about me, kind of my vision, expectations for the program. I'm somebody who I really believe that you can push them and you can challenge them and you can stand beside them through all the ups and downs that college softball is going to bring. I explained to them the reasons why I felt like this was such a great opportunity for me, the program that they're a part of, the people that are supporting them and behind them. And kind of why I love coaching, which is I love that time in a person's life where they're going through a lot of growth and changes. They're away from their parents for the first time, trying to figure out who they want to be, what they want to do after college, who do they want to be in a relationship with, who do they want to be friends with, and that comes with a lot of ups and downs. And I think it's such a transformative time in somebody's life. And it's something that I feel so honored to be a part of, and to kind of help them grow and learn through all of that. So absolutely going to be in their face, when you need to be, and challenging them and coaching them, and then also being there for them when it's tough. And, it's going to be tough. So I think you can be both as a coach. And, I tried to explain that as best I could, but it's always different when you actually are doing it,
Sure.
when what you're saying is true.
That's true. I agree. You're obviously in the process. Obviously, you're going to fill out your staff and things like that. What's your
Mhm.
vision for the staff as you try to put the staff together? What kind of staff can people expect to see? And from your standpoint, will you still be involved on the pitching side? And as we'll get into, I don't think people realize you're unique in your coaching career because you've coached both sides.
Mhm.
You've coached slap hitters. You've done it all in this sport, literally. So you have a lot of versatility, which I assume would also help you as you figure out this staff, that you could be versatile and you could be pretty flexible and go in any direction you want.
That's exactly right. So, I Lawson's somebody that I still talk to all the time, and she's a big mentor for me. So I was telling her, I was like, I'm most nervous about hiring a staff because I understand what an important decision that is. It's important who I surround myself with, and it's important who I surround the student athletes with. Um, and sometimes it's tougher to do that if you're limited in your knowledge. And what she kept telling me is but all parts of the game. So you can really vet through who knows what they're talking about, X's and O's, So you can focus more on, the human being part of it, the character part of it, the communication part of it. So outside of X's and O's, I still plan on running the pitching and the catching, and then just overseeing and helping with the defense and the offense. So ideally, I would like to hire somebody to run the defense, to be the head on the defense, and that can also assist with the offense, and then somebody to run the offense who can also assist with the defense. And then outside of that, just having a good X's and O's understanding. There's really three things that I think are really important. I think communication is really important. Communication with the athletes, building relationships with the athletes, and also having boundaries. I think at my level right now, we're probably looking to hire some younger people. So making sure that there's that boundary of, I'm not your best friend, I'm still your coach, but I'm here to support you. And, finding somebody who can communicate well with those athletes is really important. So not just saying the same thing multiple times, like trying to find a new way to say it, a new way to connect with them, a new way for them to understand it. At the end of the day, it's our job to grow them and develop them. And communication is just such a big part of that. So that's probably the main thing that I'm looking for. Other than that, definitely loyalty to the staff, loyalty to each other, loyalty to the program. In our position, we talk to so many different people, and you want to make sure that when they're talking to travel coaches or high school coaches, that they're promoting the program, they're promoting their assistant coaches, their head coach, all of those things. And then third, I want to surround myself with people who will challenge me. I don't want to surround myself with yes people who will just agree because I have a title of head coach. I want people who will say, I don't agree with that, and here's why, or I think we could do this better, or we're not doing this well enough. Obviously, right place, right time. But I really am looking to surround myself with people who have different ideas. At the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing. So if somebody has a better way of doing it or a different perspective, that's who I want to surround myself with, so that we can all grow and do this thing together.
Now let's talk about your journey, because it's a fascinating journey, and it was really why I wanted to have you on, because you played at Kentucky for Rachel Lawson, who you've mentioned, and then coached, there when she joined the staff. So let's start there, because then you go to LSU, work for Beth Torina, then obviously Joe Evans you end up with. But let's start how you ended up playing at Kentucky for Coach Lawson and then eventually join her staff.
Mm-hmm. So I grew up in Ohio, and I really got recruited through high school. So I grew up in a really small town called LaGrange. It's just west of, it's just west of Cleveland, Ohio. But the tradition at the high school is phenomenal. The softball tradition there has always been one that runs really, really deep, and it's nationally recognized. And Ohio is just north of Kentucky. So typically when you're recruiting, you're trying to get the best kids in your state and the best kids in the surrounding states. And Coach Himes, Christine Himes, who was, I believe she's associate, I don't know her title, I believe she's associate head coach now, but at the time she was an assistant, and she's from Ohio. And I believe the story is her dad had seen my name in the newspaper for getting All Ohio. And he still, they live just about 2 hours from where I grew up. So that's how my name really got across their desk, was just from high school. And they had come up to some high school games, and then obviously out in travel ball and stuff like that. And it was just a good opportunity. I wanted to be in the SEC. I wanted to be in the best conference, and I wanted to play against the best and play with the best. And it was a really good experience. I mean, college is tough, and I grew a lot from it, and it was great. So I got a chance my fifth year with them to coach, and I was not a pitcher, as you had mentioned. I did pitch some in high school and like in travel ball, so I had a little bit of an understanding of it. But at Kentucky, I was a shortstop and a lefty slapper. I had one home run in my career, so maybe I can say I was a triple threat, but mostly a slapper. But my fifth year, when I was coaching, Lawson had said, I think you should really learn and dive into the pitching if coaching is something that you really want to do. And, when somebody wiser than you tells you to do something, you listen and you do it. So I got to sit the year with her on the pitchers, and just learn from her. And she calls a great game. And she's similar to me. She wasn't a pitcher, and she took what she knew offensively to be able to call games against offenses. So I took that same mindset, and then I had the opportunity to work at LSU as a volunteer for 2 years. And Beth Torina is one of the best pitching coaches in the country. So there, I still worked with the slappers and base running and helped with the infield, but I got to sit with Beth with the pitchers, and just watched how she developed a staff and developed specific pitches. And I mean, her stuff is great. So I learned a lot from her, spent a lot of time just picking her brain, and still do. So I got 2 years with her, and then Coach Evans had reached out about the volunteer opportunity. So, at the time I thought I was ready for an assistant job, and here I was going into another volunteer position, just volunteering my way across the country. And it was an opportunity to work with the pitchers. So I said yes, and I guess I never looked back from there. So I was at A&M for 6 years, as a volunteer for about a year and a half, and then we had some staff changes, and I got promoted to an assistant coach. But it's been a unique journey for sure, but it's been helpful in when one side of the game, it helps you on the other side for sure.
It's fascinating. Do you know why Coach Lawson said you should learn to be a pitching coach? Was there a specific reason she gave you, like why go in that avenue versus, hey, you could be a hitting coach or defensive coach or whatever?
Sure. Well, there was a couple reasons. One of the main ones is she knew I wanted to be a head coach. And so I think she was always somebody who can look at, like, she can almost look into the future for you when she knows what you're looking for and what you want, which is why anytime she tells me to do something, I just do it. I know she knows what she's talking about. So as a head coach, it's kind of like we talked about with hiring a staff. I would know all parts of the game. She knows that I'm somebody who loves learning, and I would spend the time to do that and learn that particular skill really well. And she knew I had a good understanding of the rest of the game. So if I could understand pitching, it would open up coaching opportunities for me. People are always looking for pitching coaches. Because it's more of a specialty, and some people just aren't interested in getting into that. So I think she realized, one, it would open up more opportunities for me, but then down the road as a head coach, it would help me be able to surround myself with a good staff. So kind of like we had talked about, you had mentioned earlier, if I needed to mold into a different position, I'd be able to do that.
Was that an easy transition for you or a hard transition for you?
Looking back, I would say it was only easy because I got to learn from two of the best in the entire country who do it. And I would always go to, and I still do, to the convention and learn from some of the other great pitching coaches like Jen Rocha and Missy Lombardi. I would take a lot from, their talks as well too. But it's almost like when you have that opportunity to learn from those people, like how could you not be successful? Like it would be a disservice to them if I went to A&M and didn't do a good job, because they had spent so much time helping me develop those skills. But I felt so confident going there because I knew I had learned from two of the best. They're two very different people. And so I could take a lot of different things from both of them and kind of mold it into my own philosophy and way of doing things. And when I got to A&M, I was really lucky. The staff that I had, there was 4 of them. They were very willing to learn. They were super trusting. They believed in what we were doing. They believed in the vision. And it took us to the World Series. So I really do credit that pitching staff that I had there as well. They were just a great group to work with.
You mentioned it, and you're very good at this podcasting thing because you know it's coming. Because you brought up a point that are all like her, like for example, you mentioned Coach Lawson and Beth are different people, but you pick out certain things from them that you mold into your own style. And here you are. You've worked with 3 legendary head coaches in the sport. Like, it blows my. I mean, first of all, let me ask you this: do you, at any point, have you pinched yourself and think, "Wow, how fortunate you've been of who you've been around to learn from"?
Yeah, every day. I mean, and it includes, I mean, not only the head coaches, I mean, it includes the assistants that I've gotten to work with too. Um, but yeah, like sometimes I just look at my contact list. I'm like, this is crazy. Like these are 3, like you said, these are just legends in the game. And I've had the opportunity to know them and work with them and, live beside them for years. It's been, yeah, it's really strange. I am super grateful every day though, because I know I wouldn't have the opportunity. If it didn't start with me going to Kentucky, I would have never had this opportunity to begin with. So it is something I'm super grateful for. And like, we had talked about a little bit earlier, it's who you surround yourself with is so important. And man, I've been lucky. I've been so lucky.
So let's kind of go one by one with Coach Lawson. What's one thing you picked from her? I mean, probably there's a bunch of stuff, but what's the one main thing or two that you picked up from Coach Lawson that you've applied, that you've noticed in your coaching style or philosophy, for that matter?
She was always somebody who, let's see the best way to describe it. She works in systems. Like she has systems in place for almost everything that she does. Which I've definitely gotten into that. But I think what it does is it helps automate things for you. So you're not having to think about so many things every single day. So when your system can automate things for you, you can be more in the moment. So for example, if we have a good system of practice plans, like a good defensive rotation, and we're not having to explain it to the athletes every day, and we're not having to describe what we're doing every day, and we say, hey, this is the rotation we're doing, everybody gets into position, you're not worried about the logistics of running it, you're just simply worried about the skill development part of it. She's phenomenal at that. So I would say working within systems. If I could do like a 1A, 1B, 1B would be just her. She always has an athlete's first mentality. I don't know if she wants people to know that she's nice, but she's super. I don't know that she wants people to know that, but she is 100% behind those athletes on her team and really does support them more than just on the field. Like she's still in our lives. She's still helping us, still challenging us to this day. And I don't know, maybe 10 years out, close to 10 years out, something like that. So yeah, those 2 things for sure. The relationship part of it goes beyond just the game.
And then you spent time with Beth Torina for a couple years. What's the couple things you took from her? And I always ask this of everybody that's worked with Coach Torina. I'm friends with Coach Torina, so I tease her about this, but you know where I'm going with this. Did you pick up any of her superstitious things that she does?
Right. What's so funny is we played LSU this year, and we had Adrian Gregory on our staff, and we were joking about it. And one of the games, Adrian had come out, and one of the best things is switching, when you can and can't switch your clothes. And Adrian had done it, and Beth came over. She came over by our dugout like the next inning and had changed something. And she's like, "You're not going to beat me at my own game." It was pretty funny. It was a really good time. Beth has some of the best people skills I've ever seen. She's really, really good at recruiting. She's great at talking to people. She exudes so much confidence, and I feel like her teams always play like that as well. They feel that from her, and they play with a high level of confidence. She's so sure in what she's doing and what she's presenting to the team, and it's always something I've really respected from how she coaches. And the cool thing about being with her was watching her do it as a head coach and watching her do it as a wife and a mother. So when I got there, she was I think my second year she was pregnant with Tinley. So she just had the 2 girls at the time. And kind of watching her go through all of that. I mean, she's a phenomenal human. The amount of things that woman gets done in a day is unreal.
Yeah.
So, definitely picked up a couple of those things from her.
It's pretty good. And then lastly, obviously, but Joe Evans, who you got to work with 6 years, what do you take away from her that you'll apply here?
Yeah, she's somebody, I mean, clearly a legend. She's got one of the best win totals of all time. She knows how to do it, and she knows how to do it the right way. So she's very much about integrity and loyalty to the program and to the people. And she's somebody who always wants things done the right way and knows that you can win when you do things the right way. And one thing that I've always really respected about her, when she hires assistants, she hires them. She doesn't micromanage. She hires them to do the job that she expects you to do. And she expects you to do it well. And she will always be there to support. But I credit her for that, because I feel like I learned so much in that first year of taking on the pitchers and catchers solo. The decisions were mine, and right or wrong, I got to learn very quickly from that. So the way that she manages her staff, I think, is something that I got to experience, and something that really helped me learn and grow quickly, and something that I'll take with me for sure into this year and the rest of my career.
And you've been around a lot of winning with those three with those 3 coaches. You've been to the World Series, so you know what it takes to win. And this will be my last question to you: is now, as you go to UTA, what's the keys, as you'll tell your players, to being successful at UTA? What are going to be the keys here in the coming months to build that camaraderie and have success on the field?
Yeah, the cool thing about talking with the athletes that are currently on the team, I asked them, I said, what's something that the team does really well that as a new coach coming in, I want to make sure we continue to do that well? Like, what's the one thing that you guys do at an elite level? I'm not kidding you. Every single one of them said team chemistry. They said, we have great team chemistry. And that's something that I think can be hard to create sometimes, especially if you're trying to force it. And it's different when you're on a team and you're playing for yourself, or you're playing for the person next to you. It's completely different. So they have that established already, that camaraderie part. So I want to make sure that they continue to do that well. And I think at the end of the day, it's about finding your identity. And every team's going to be different. And when we get out there, it's going to be something that I evaluate really quickly. Like, what are we great at? What can we be great at? And what's our identity going to be? And I think it's easier as a team when you know who you are. It is as people too, but when you know who you are, and you know what you can lean on, and when times get tough, this is the thing that you can come back to. So the identity piece of it will be something that I and my coaching staff will focus a lot on in the fall, and showing them what that is. And, I'm somebody who believes, I've learned this from the coaches I've been around, is, everybody has worth. Every single person on the team has value. And it's my job as a coach to find that value, make sure the people around know, make sure that person knows, and make sure they bring that to the team every single day that they show up. And I think that helps. I do think that will help the team chemistry part as well. But when things get really hard and really challenging, which they absolutely will, they do every single year. You always have that baseline to come back to of who you are and who this team is, who you are to the team. And, I think that speaks a lot when you're trying to win the conference, trying to win, into postseason, things like that.
Well, we're excited for it. I'm excited to see what you can do there, UTA, and build there. Congratulations again. I know, you've paid your dues, as we've talked about here, to get to this point. And I'm excited what you'll do there. And I know Coach Lawson pretty well, and I definitely know Coach Torina well. I don't know Coach Evans as well, but I've talked to her. I'm sure they're all excited for you as well. But thanks for doing this. I know it's a busy time for you as you're kind of, getting your staff together and things like that. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and telling your story. And we definitely will love to have you back on another time. And thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.